Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. Or to the live stream, I should say. So, a lot of things that are going on in the background. I think everybody's aware that tariffs are going higher. And what we are talking about today, and what it all really comes down to, is, of course, what is called tariff. And there's been a retaliatory action just happening about 90 minutes ago or so. And it looks like the White House has just released a statement that an additional 104% in tariffs on China went into effect today at 12 o'clock. And actually, I think it's BQN data says it perfectly. Look, we got about 150 million % tariff for China, and just going to keep going up and up. And this, ladies and gentlemen, I think can qualify now as a tariff war as we go back and forth. Who will blink first? Who will be the one that comes in and says and bends the knee and said, okay, let's come to the negotiation table? It's anybody's guess. But China just came out as well, I think it was last night, and said they will fight this to the bitter end. Now, we've got 50 different countries that are coming into the United States and saying, hey, we want to make a deal. We'd like to actually propose different things to you so we can work these things out. And things are looking good on that end. However, China, the second biggest GDP on the planet, is saying we are going to fight you till the bitter end. Actually, I just saw a statement that's saying that China is saying that they are actually going so far as to ban all Hollywood movies or all movies out of the United States to come into China, completely closing themselves off. So the question I have for everybody right now is this: how do you feel? How do you feel really? Because if you look at this looks pretty awful. Looks pretty bad, doesn't it? And we got everybody in the background saying that they are not going to come to the table. There's a lot of people saying that, or a lot of different countries saying that, yeah, you can have those 50, but we're not going to do anything. And it seems like when things are the darkest is when everybody is the most scared. And we can see that actually that the extreme fear just hit in the fear and greed index. So again, I'm going to ask you, how do you feel? In the comment section, I can see that people are doing somewhat okay. But I'm just here to tell you that the market itself is doing quite a red day. And that's par for the course, right? We were over 3 trillion. Now we're at 2.5. Now, of course, we were 3 trillion a long time ago. I mean, I'm not going to say it was yesterday. But you got 24 hours, Bitcoin's down 2%, Ethereum 6, XRP 3.8, and so on and so forth. You know this because you've looked at your portfolio. I'm pretty sure you have. And it's okay to do the same thing. But how is the traditional markets doing? Even worse. Yeah, unfortunately, the S&P 500 started off with a bang this morning. Matter of fact, 9:30 Eastern time, 5,193. I think it was up 3.2%, somewhere around there, around until 10:30 or so. And then there was a leak of a 104% tariff that came out. And then roughly around 12 o'clock when that went into effect, you can see the effects that it actually had. Let's see how it's doing right now. Maybe it's green. Who knows? I'm just kidding. No, it's down even more. So that's what we have. So the question you have to ask yourself is, what do I do here? How do I fit into this? What is my plan here? Your plan is nothing. There's nothing you can do about this. There's nothing you can do. You can't go to China and say, Xi Jinping, we need to have a discussion. I think you should come and sit down. You can't go to the White House and say, I'd like to have a one-on-one with JD and Donald and sit them down and say, maybe we could all come to the table. You can't do anything. There's nothing you can do. You can worry about it. What does worry do for you? Really, think about it. I am going to show you there's something that you can do. And I'm going to take a look back, historically speaking, about some of the days that I've been through personally where I thought everything was going to hell in a handbasket and was never going to return. So if we take a look here, I'm going all the way back to a nice time of November 5th, 2022. Just a year prior to November 5th, 2022, we had one of our all-time highs for Bitcoin. It was roughly $67,000. And then we went through a little bump in December. And then that was in 2021. Then 2022, January, it took even more of a fall. And people were saying, that's just a correction. No big deal. And then, of course, we kept going and going until, unfortunately, the FTX started to collapse. And this is around the time when it said that it was insolvent. Also, Celsius came out and said, hey, we're also insolvent because we're whatever they were. And then Voyager came out, and FTX came out, and also Luna somewhere around this time, and they all collapsed. And this was the worst time of all time. Extreme fear. And we can see that it went from $21,000 down to $15,000. So you're looking at over 30% drop in what? 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. But guess what? I'm here to show you something. I knew that we would recover at some point. I didn't know when. We will always recover. If you take a look at the stock market, even going back to 1929, what does the stock market do? It crashes and it recovers. If you take a look at Bitcoin, not all altcoins, because not all altcoins come back. EOS, I'm looking at you. And of course, there's a plethora of different ones that we can go through. Ethereum is not doing so hot this as well. Luna's never coming back. Let's just be honest. But I knew that we would come back at some point. And I want to show you something. On days like today, I will tell you what I'm doing. I'm buying like crazy. Will it go down? I don't know. Could possibly go down. But right now, this is the time when it separates everybody. It's not so much about going all in as much as you possibly can. I'm not going all in, but I'm buying a lot more. As it starts to go down, I continue to buy even more. There's actually a deal going on right now between myself and real estate, and the sale of that will probably all funnel into Bitcoin. Why am I so confident? It's because I look at history. So if we're taking a look here, let's just say that you never invested outside of November 5th, 2022, and you invested when everything was flat and choppy and no one wanted to, and everybody called you a moron, which they did. They called me an idiot for investing in 2022 and 2023. They're like, but it's all a scam because I saw it on Fill in the Blank news channel and they were talking about FTX, and FTX is crypto, right? No. But if you just take a look at here, let's just say, and I'm trying to be very conservative, you put $100 per week and you start that on November 5th, 2022, which is right here at the top of the bear market, I guess you could say, before it collapsed. And you're like, hey, I think it's gonna be okay. And then it collapsed, but you kept buying. I just want you to know that if you went from November, and then of course 2 days later it's worth $100, and you did that every week, and you went all the way and kept buying $100, $100, you'd actually be up 66% in just a month and a half. And then what I did was, instead of buying all the way until 2024, I just want to show you how you would do if you just bought from November 5th, 2022, just to January 1st, 2023. Essentially just 2 months of putting $100 in, spending $800 when nobody wanted to invest. You know where you would be right now? In just 2 short years, you'd be up 300%. Where else can you do that? And this goes back to the weekend video we talked about. Where else can you have those appreciating types of values than in Bitcoin? I'm not going to get into altcoins today because it's a little bit too risky. But 300% in roughly just a couple of years, and all you got to do is really just buy it and hold it. And actually, you were in profit. You were in profit within 3 or 4 weeks. So when you're doing this, you're like, why would I do this? Now, here's another thing. Check this out. Let's go back even further. Let's go back to when the planet was supposed to eradicate half of its population, called the coronavirus. Remember this in February 23rd, 2020? Actually, I'm going to go back to February 18th, 2020. Bitcoin was $10,000. And then it came here, and then here, and then it dropped down to 5,000. So in roughly, gosh, what is that? 2 weeks or so, you lost 50% of the value. That's quite a bit. So what would you have done if you invested on February 18th, 2020, and you stopped on April 1st, 2020? You only invested again 2 months when everybody was crying about it. I shouldn't say that. When everybody was crying about Bitcoin, it was an awful time. I'm not gonna go against that. A lot of people lost their lives. That's very, very unhearty of me to say. But financially speaking, if you would have done that, just put in $800 essentially, you might have been down for a little bit for a month or so. Actually, no. You would have just gone up. You would have been up 40%. In roughly 3 months' time, you're profitable. And then in roughly a year's time, you did a 4.5x. And that's in January. And by April, did a 7x. And you only spent you only invested $600. And you're up 766%. So now take those numbers and say, what if you would have put $1,000 in? Or 5,000, if you had it. I'm not saying everybody's got $5,000 just laying around on their couch cushions. I'm just saying 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying when everybody goes in the red and the fear and greed index is off the charts down in the dumps because it is now at extreme fear, this is the time when I see it. Will it go down further? I'm telling you right now, I think it will go down further. I think more prospects of this tariff are going to play out. I think China's going to posture and it's going to take a while. So what am I doing? I'm dollar cost averaging, but I'm doing it even more called dynamic. And I am increasing my buys at this time because I know how this all ends eventually. And that's just me. Anyhow, let me know what you think about this. We'll go on from there. And then also, speaking of, if it was easy, everybody would do it. It is easy for whales. This just came out from Glassnode. The number of addresses holding over 1,000 Bitcoin just hit a new all-time high in 2025. Why? It's because they know where everything ends. And there it is. So I know some people would say, but Rob, I bought it 109K or something like that. And now I'm down so much. This is your chance to lower your cost basis. Does this make sense? So if you bought 109K, you bought 2 days, 109, 180K or something like that, and now you're able to get it at 80K, well, now you've lowered the cost of what you have to do to actually get profitable. Me personally, when I do this, and I did this in 2017, this is why I was dollar cost averaging all the way to 2018, 19, and 20, and in 2021, because I lowered my cost basis. To me, it only makes sense, but maybe I'm missing something. Let me know in the comment section. And then also, I'm going to break my rule. I'm going to talk about one altcoin, actually two in one sentence. XRP. Looks like Ripple just posted this about a $0.6 trillion to $19 trillion shift is coming as tokenization reshapes global finance. And it's kind of odd that they put this in here of the Cardano logo right there. So there's a speculation. This has always been my assertion that at some point, a lot of these big crypto products were going to start to merge together or start to work together in the same way that Amazon and Meta and all large institutions and companies start to absorb everything around them. And either it's a partnership or there's an absorption. I'm not for sure what's going on here, but this could be big. And then also, this was a statement put out by Charles Hoskinson. Now, love him or hate him, they are starting to work a lot more with Bitcoin. Just take a listen to this. Tell me this isn't something that could be pretty big. Let me make sure you can hear this perfectly. Share that. This is about 30 seconds. Listen up.
We're going to get Bitcoin to work with Cardano, and we'll be there at May 2025 at Bitcoin 2025. And we'll have a great demo for that. There's a lot of people we're bringing. We're working with wallets. We're working with other protocols. I don't need to call anybody or do a governance action to do these things. It's good for Cardano. It's the same for Midnight. Midnight will be the single biggest economic event for the Cardano ecosystem in its history.
So there you go. I think as we move forward, I think people just realize that Bitcoin's the big one and it's going to be the winner. So we'll see how it goes out. But that's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. We talk about it's time sensitive. Now, if you want to get into a little Q&A, we'll answer all the questions. Let's go to it. Purity says, my twin brother, Charles, perhaps. And then Horty says, Hoskinson clown. I tell you, people either love Charles or they hate him. It's never in between. No, this is pretty brutal. Name here says, never hire an academic to do a real job. Look, I mean, Charles and the Cardano Foundation, and they did at least get themselves into the top 10 there. So I'm just saying, not too bad. Not too bad. Look, do you want to debate over the utility and the function and the relevance of Cardano, or can we just ask some real questions about, like, I don't know, what's going on in the macro world? Bitcoin doesn't need pronoun. That's true. Maybe it doesn't, but maybe it could accentuate, you know? It's like when I go outside and it's raining cats and dogs. I don't need an umbrella. I'm not going to die, but it really would be nice to get an umbrella. Take some hardships off. Just saying. Let's see. There. Master Bias, Charles Austin rocks. There you go. Meme, fan of Charles. There we go. Looking relaxed. Yeah, this is actually, I'm very tired. We're doing some things in the background and getting ready for some big stuff. Me and the family, but it was such a long. No, it wasn't a long, harsh day. It's never a long, harsh day. I'm in Puerto Rico. I lived like this, the greatest life of all time. What am I saying? I'm just tired today. This is the one day I'm actually sitting down and not standing up, doing a video. Yeah, I know. I feel sorry for people involved in investment in ADA. Robel, I'm just telling you, the same people, or there's the equal amount of people that say that, you know, Cardano and you shouldn't invest into that and it's a Ponzi or whatever else. There's 100 times more people saying the same thing about Bitcoin. Just letting you know. I'm still way up. That's nice. You're welcome. Ralph, I gave away data to their wallet. Seemed confusing 5 years ago. Yeah, the wallets aren't like the greatest that they can do, although with the Lace integration, it's a little better. But you know who did a great job with wallets? Not MetaMask. Solana and Phantom. They did a great job. Super easy, just works, you know, when it's up. Just kidding. It's up most of the time. Let's see. Have you ever explained why you have keys in that door behind you? I don't know. That's just how the Fiverr artist made the screen. This is a green screen. Luna is never coming back. Sorry, Anna. That's unfortunately true. I liquidated 2 days ago. Sorry, Master Blaster. Charles Hodgson is a scammer like Richard Hart. Who's that? Man, I got to tell you, I thought I'd have better questions than just people dumping on Cardano, but apparently I wasn't correct. Yolroy finally added dark mode this year. Yeah, that's true. Can't make Cardano sauce without tomato. Very, very true. I hate MetaMask, love Phantom. Oh, one more little announcement. I had one of the local investors here in Puerto Rico come in and talk about real estate and what they're doing here. I'll be putting that video out relatively soon, but this is something that you'd want to do to diversify your portfolio at some point. But it's quite interesting. They've got really it's 3 ways that they work. Either you find the property, or you fund the property, or you manage properties. And they teach how to do 3 things. It was pretty interesting. Also, it was interesting. He told me that there's 300,000 dilapidated and rundown houses in Puerto Rico that nobody can get loans for, so they just sit there and rot. It's crazy. Anyhow, we'll go over that later. Pulse chain guy, Richard. Yeah, Sean, that's the guy. You overestimate our intelligence, Rob. I have very smart people in the comment section. Beardy is one of them. Yeah. John says, and you thought you were going to go away because we needed a cheerleader. Yeah, I really did think we were going to see more of a big monstrous run by this time. But again, you know, we had this in 2017. It was just a gradual up and pullbacks and up and pullbacks. However, We didn't have talk of essentially a global economic reset with tariffs. That's for sure. So we'll see how it plays. But I think it's going to get bumpier and worse. I think it's going to get way worse than it gets better. And it all really comes down to, it's a funny thing. It all really comes down to the narrative of China battling it out with the United States. It's almost like the Cold War between the US and Russia in the 80s. And who would actually blink first? Well, it's Mikhail Gorbachev. And we ran the gambit and actually came out on the other side great. Now we have to play that game with China and see which one actually wins. It's funny. Hey, Ed's here. Hey, Ed, how are the YouTube social metrics looking? It's a good question. Let's take a look. So for this, we'll have to bring up a screen properly. Let's see here. Social risks are something that Ben put together on his website, the CRYPTOVERSE. Oh, also, if you guys would like to tool around with that little DCA simulation, this one's free, the DCA, where you can kind of just test things out. Go to his website, sign up for the free part. Use this tool, see where you are, see where you were, see where you could be. It helps to kind of streamline the focus of what you're into. And also, when you're doing the DCA stuff, you can stick in everything you can stick in here. Like, what the heck is this? Oh, that's Neo. Let's do something that people actually have heard of. Like Tron, I don't know. Cardano, sure. And you can plot those and see how you would do over time. So it's a great tool. Just go check that out. There's a link in the description. Now the paid stuff, there's other things like what I'm about to show you right now, which would be right here. Crypto risk indicators, one of those is social metrics. So social metrics, and what I like about this one and why I think everybody should be using it and why I use it is because it takes a summary of, say, price, on-chain, and social. So you take the Bitcoin risk level, crypto market cap and trend line, logarithmic regression, fear and greed. You overlay that with 12 multiple, MVRV, Z-score, transaction fees, and prices. Then also you take a look at subscribers for big YouTube channels and also for Twitter accounts and things like that. And you put them all into a bundle. And you aggregate all those numbers and come up with, are things heated, overheated, or is it a good time that to accumulate because everything is chilled out? And look how well it did on 8th of November. See how crazy things were back then? We were all headed out there. And even in let's say April, February, wow. Look at April. This is a clear indicator that we should have sold. And you didn't sell as much as you're supposed to, so don't lie. It's okay, I didn't either. But then, that's 2021. But what happened during the bull market or the bear market? And you can see the metrics telling you exactly where we're at back then. But then look what happened in 2017. We're pretty good times, right? And so on and so forth. Where are we at today? Burp. Wah, wah. Not too great, especially social metrics. YouTube subscribers are down. YouTube views are, my views are down a little bit, but not that much, but sure. Twitter followers, I don't know. It is what it is, but yeah, it's pretty low. And then as far as transaction fees are super low because no one's using things. And you can see how on-chain metrics and price are pretty low. So to answer Ed's question, which is a good question, yeah, it's social metrics not looking too great, but that's just how it goes. Rob reminds me of Greg from White Lotus. I'll take it. And Gassy Fee says, doesn't China own most of the debt? Yeah, it owns I want to say about $1 trillion worth of treasuries and T-bills. And I think they just sold $100 billion worth. So yeah, they're going to start dumping our debt. And this is what we get, you know? This is the call for globalization. And you got to face the consequences at some point. The piper has to be paid, and here it comes. And like I said, I think things are going to get pretty bad. And that's why I'm going to start buying a heck of a lot more. Because just like, I don't know if you're around 2007, 8, and 9 for that, the Great Recession, the ones that deployed cash during the darkest of times were the ones that were the brightest billionaires coming out of it. So it just depends on how long can you go through it. How long can you endure? Damn, Rebel Rouse, that's a long time. Why is it 2021? Well, thank you. I appreciate you. A1 says Japan owns more of our debt than China does now. Awesome. And good news, China's coming to the table for negotiations, so we'll see how that works out. I think we're good here. Oh, Sed says, thanks for everything, Rob. I'm a bit behind the videos. I'm doing language courses. My friend, stick with the language courses. That's going to be the best thing you can do. Guys, for those of you who want to just know what's going on in the market, that's what I'm here for. Just to let everybody, just kind of bring everybody up to speed so you don't have to shift through so many things. However, if at some point you are a little bit stressed out, just take a break, take a breather. The market will be here when you come back. But I will say, lastly, I'll just say this. What I'm doing right now is the same thing I've always done. In the background, Coinbase, every single day, at roughly the same time during the day, pings me a notification. You just bought X amount of Bitcoin. You just bought X amount of Ethereum. You just bought X amount of Solana. You just bought X amount of Cardano. You just bought X amount of Sui. You just bought blah, 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 down the line. Okay. And the only thing that I change is the amount as time goes on. So like times like this, I cancel those or I put them on pause and then I double that. And if it's really bad, I will triple or quadruple that. Right now, we're just in the 2x range, but I'm ready to triple as soon as we go down. That's it for today. So look, like today's video, thumbs up, subscribe, all that great stuff. Stay cool out there. Things might start really sucking, but I know you can get through it. All right, everybody, thanks so much. I will see you on the next one. Adios.